Check one, two. Check three, four. Commissioner Holzman has joined.
Morning, Commissioners. The agenda room.
Good morning.
What do we do with this? It's history, so we should keep it. So.
It is really cool because I figured it was some kind of.
Commissioner Kochmeyer's here.
I figured you
Commissioner.
would talk about history.
Yeah. We definitely have ammunition to do that. Stop it along. And since Sprint doesn't exist anymore, I'm safe. Accept it.
I would think. Especially when it's history. Not like it's used anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And even then, I think. Let's give it to the commission. That's one of people's decisions. No, a lot of it's. Machinery doesn't look anymore. Yeah, you survived.
Howdy, I did. How are you?
Doing well.
How'd you get home?
I think I rolled into the garage at about 11:45.
Yeah, it was about 12:45. I didn't. My daughter was like, "Yeah, you're not gonna be at 11:30." She's like, "I'm already kind of laying." She's like, "Let's just skip."
Yeah.
I mean, a college student turned down free food. I was like, "What's up with that?"
Understand?
But I think she had already been out with friends. She was done for the evening.
It's kind of early though to be done for you, but I guess it
Yeah.
wasn't my day.
Yeah.
So.
We are unmuted, Mr. Chairman, and
We are muted.
unmuted.
We're unmuted.
And Commissioners Kochmeyer and Holzman are on the line.
Oh, good. Commissioner Holtzman was able to string together a few wires on top of the mountain and call us. That's awesome. And I hope Commissioner Coleman is healing well.
Commissioner Coleman is here.
Hey, Commissioner, great to hear from you. How you feeling?
Oh, things are getting a little better. I got about 8 hours sleep last night for the first time that I've been home for a week. And trying to keep the leg elevated is a lot of trouble for me. So, but the pain is down to about a 6 right now, 5 or 6. So it's getting better.
Well, that is
Thanks
good.
for asking.
No problem. I hope that the pain continues to drop and you get healed quickly and you can start moving around more mobilely.
Yes, thank you very much. It's getting better.
Jesus, okay. All right. Well, sounds like everybody is on the line. All the commissioners have assembled. It is 10:15, so we will go ahead and we will call today's Public Service Commission agenda meeting to order. Today is August 23rd, 2023. It's now 10:15. Would ask those that are on the phone to please mute yourself unless you need to speak so everyone else can hear. Today we have 7 tariffs and new orders, a discussion item, tariff tracking item, and I'm going to go ahead and pull the PSC history for today because we got a full agenda. But before we get into all that, we do need to approve the minutes from the August 17th, 2023 agenda. I do know those have been distributed in advance. Commissioners, are there any changes or corrections to the minutes from the August 17th agenda meeting? Hearing none, I make a motion that we approve the minutes from the August 17th, 2023 amended. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Those are approved 5-0. And then we also have some closed minutes from the August 17th, 2023 closed agenda. Those were also distributed in advance. Any changes or corrections to those closed agenda minutes? Hearing none, then we'll go ahead and make a motion. We approve those closed minutes from the August 17, 2023 closed agenda items. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
That is approved by a vote of 5-0. So jumping right on in to our tariffs and new orders, of which we have 7. First one is file number HO 2023-0357. This is in the matter of the prudence review of the steam operations of Evergy, Missouri West. And then back on April 14th, staff had filed a notice announcing its plan to conduct a full prudence review of the cost and revenues associated with Evergy steam operations for the period of January 1st, 2022, ending December 31st of 2022. Back on August 9th, 2023, staff filed its prudence review report finding no evidence of imprudence by Evergy, and no party has objected or filed any responses to staff's report. So this order approves staff's prudence review report on Evergy's implementation of their quarterly cost adjustment rider for the review period. I would recommend that we approve that order, version number 1. Commissioner Coleman
I support the order.
and Commissioner Holzman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also support the order and would just like to say that sometimes I'm amazed that you can be 4,000 miles away south of the equator and technology has advanced to the point where we can still participate. So I'm appreciative of that. Thank you.
Pretty amazing. Hopefully your travels and your representation of our National Association is going well.
The conference has been going very well.
Excellent. Commissioner Kolkmeyer,
I'm in support of the order.
Commissioner Hahn.
Also in support.
Great. All those in favor of that order, version number 1, please say aye.
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 Is approved by a vote of 5-0. Next up, file number EO 2023-0359 in the matter of the Union Electric Company, or DBA Ameren, Missouri, and the filing of their Renewable Energy Standard Compliance Plan for 2023 through 2025. On April 14th, Ameren, Missouri filed its RES compliance reports for 2022 and their plans for 2023 through 2025 as required by Commission's rule. Staff filed its report on the reports and plans on June 29th, and they concluded that Ameren, Missouri's compliance plan for 2023 through 2025 complies with the rule standards. On July 11th, Ameren, Missouri filed a response to staff's report agreeing with staff's findings. No other comments were received by the Commission. So this order states that Ameren, Missouri will not be required to provide additional information or to address any concerns or deficiencies. I would recommend that we approve this order, version number 1. Commissioner Coleman
I support the order.
and Commissioner Holzman.
I'm in support of the order.
Commissioner Kolkmeyer,
I'm also in support.
Commissioner Hahn.
Also in support.
Great. All those in favor of that motion to approve order version number 1, please say aye.
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 Approved by a vote of 5-0. Next up is file number ER 2023-0210. This is the matter of the application of Evergy Missouri West for authority to implement a rating adjustment required by Commission rule and the company's approved fuel and purchase power cost recovery mechanism. So back on December 30th, Evergy Missouri West filed a tariff sheet with a proposed rate schedule to adjust charges related to its approved fuel adjustment clause, or the FAC. On June 21st, Evergy Missouri West staff and OPC filed a non-unanimous stipulation and agreement, and 7 days have elapsed since the signatories filed that agreement and no party has objected. So the Commission will treat that agreement as unanimous. On August 18th, the signatories of the agreement presented it to the Commission at an on-the-record presentation. And based on the representations of the parties, the agreement will allow Evergy to recover under-collected fuel costs sooner, while allowing customers to pay significantly less in interest than originally anticipated. So this order approves that agreement filed on June 21st as a resolution of all the issues addressed in that document and directs the signatories to comply with the terms of that agreement. I would recommend we approve this order, version number 1. Commissioner Coleman
I support the order.
and Commissioner Holzman.
I'm in support of the order.
Commissioner Kolkmeyer.
I'm in support.
Commissioner Hahn.
I'm also in support, and I just want to thank the parties for coming together in the stipulation and agreement to save ratepayers over $50 million. So not an insignificant amount of money. So just want to thank the parties. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, no, that's great pointing out. It was a significant savings. All right, so we have that we will approve that order, version number 1. All those in favor, please say
Aye.
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 That is approved by a vote of 5-0. Fourth file and tariff in order today is file number GA 2023-0389. The matter of the application of Spire Missouri Inc., or DBA Spire, for permission and approval and a certificate of convenience and necessity for natural gas distribution system to provide gas service in Cass County, Missouri, as an expansion of its existing certificated areas. So Spire's request is for a service area or a CCN to provide gas to a single facility in the stated area. Natural gas distribution service is not currently offered in the area for which the CCN is being requested. However, Spire has commission-approved certificated areas surrounding the requested section. Spire has also received requests from 2 residential customers along the route who want natural gas service. So on August 8th, the staff of the commission filed its recommendation stating that the commission should grant Spire the requested CCN subject to 3 recommended conditions. No other responses or objections to the application or any responses or objections to staff's recommendations were received. So this order will grant Spire the CCN to provide natural gas distribution service within the proposed service area, subject to the 3 unopposed conditions described by staff. This order, version number 1. Commissioner Coleman.
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I'm in support of the order.
Commissioner Kochmeyer.
I'm in support.
And Commissioner Hahn.
Also in support.
Great. All those in favor of supporting that order, version number 1, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That is approved by a vote of 5-0. Next up is file number GR 2021-0127, and the matter of the Spire, Missouri, Inc., or Spire East, their purchase gas adjustment or their PGA tariff filing. The commission had previously determined in file number GR 2017-0215 that a future ACA proceeding was the appropriate proceeding to address the Spire STL pipeline transaction, and the commission designated this ACA review as the appropriate review to address the prudence of those pipeline transportation costs. So on August 11th, Spire staff, Consumers Council of Missouri, Environmental Defense Fund, and the Office of Public Counsel submitted a stipulation and agreement resolving all the remaining issues in this case. Some of the subjects of this agreement addressed are the Spire STL pipeline litigation costs, new record-keeping requirements, advanced leak detection, and the filing of an integrated resource plan, and for Spire to provide funds for certain customer assistance programs. Additionally, the agreement provides that the signatories will not make any argument relating to the prudence of Spire, Missouri's contract on STL pipeline, the risks related to the Federal Energy Regulatory or FERC's impact from threats to STL pipeline service associated with the certificate of the STL pipeline in any subsequent Spire-initiated general rate case. Among the various conditions adopted by the signatories is an agreement that for all the future proposed interstate transmission projects on which Spire, Missouri intends to be an anchor shipper, Spire, Missouri will coordinate an RFP or request for proposal or some other competitive bid process and maintain copies of all the RFPs sent, all responses received, and any relevant analysis of responses and documentation demonstrating the rationale for any decisions to move forward with a project. These documents will be maintained together and will be available for review by staff and OPC upon request in appropriate ACA cases in the future. Additionally, Spire, Missouri will commit $500,000 per year for 5 years of additional shareholder funding for low-income heating assistance, including $300,000 for weatherization, $100,000 for bill assistance. And I would recommend that we approve this order, version number 2. Commissioner Coleman.
I support the order.
Commissioner Holzman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to acknowledge that the stipulation encompasses a number of creative and significant conditions, and to commend both parties, all parties, for reaching an agreement, from providing shareholder support to its customers through community action agencies for weatherization projects, to advancing an IRP to include non-pipe alternative pilot program that would prioritize providing demand response, energy efficiency programs, and clean energy to environmental justice and or low income communities. Beyond that, the inclusion of a long-term climate plan that covers a 20-year demand forecast and reports on progress towards and plans to reduce system methane emissions by 50% below 2005 levels by 2030, and the role and effectiveness, if any, of RNG, hydrogen, and other technologies in reducing the carbon intensity of the system delivered energy is intriguing. Basically, a lot of times we approve these orders and the public doesn't get to see a lot of the details that are a part of it. And I think little things that are in here are an advancement over previous orders, such as, Spire will continue to report Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions reductions as baseline to part sustainability report and evaluate the feasibility of reporting on Scope 3 emissions. And that doesn't mean a lot to a lot of folks, except for those who know exactly what that means. And it's a big step forward. So I just want to take a minute to commend the company for supporting these additional provisions and say I support the order.
Very much, Commissioner Coltmire,
I support the order.
Commissioner Hahn.
Support the order, Mr. Chair, but I do want to take just a minute from Commissioner Coleman or Commissioner Holzman's comments. I know this is not, this is the first time today that we may be talking about customer assistance programs, the latter being a tariff filing. And so with regard to the customer assistance programs in this particular order, I'm generally want to be cognizant of the amount of funds spent on customer assistance programs, knowing the record levels of customer assistance programs that have been provided to Missouri citizens since COVID, whether that's LIHEAP, LIWAP, or SAFER through Missouri Housing Development Commission. All of those funds have been distributed to community action agencies across the state, over hundreds of millions of dollars in additional utility assistance programs. So moving forward, if we're creating even more customer assistance programs on top of that, I want to be cognizant to ensure the integrity of those programs moving forward. So I'll just be interested to continue to hear how those programs work within this order. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
No problem. All right. Well, the motion before us here is recommend we approve this order version number 2. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 That is approved by a vote of 5-0. Moving along, we got the sixth one of the day, file number EC 2023-0395. This is Brett Felber, complainant, versus Union Electric Company, DBA, Ameren, Missouri, as the respondent. So back on July 28th, the commission held a pre-hearing conference to address the discovery issues. And at that discovery conference, Mr. Felber stated that he would provide answers to 4 outstanding data requests from Ameren, Missouri. On August 11th, Ameren filed a motion to compel Mr. Felber to answer outstanding data requests and to sanction him for disregard of the commission's discovery rules. Mr. Felber filed a response to Ameren, Missouri's motion to compel, claiming that his residential information is confidential, but pointed to no privilege or law supporting this contention. So this order grants Ameren, Missouri's motion and orders Mr. Felber to answer the 4 outstanding data requests no later than August 25th, or the commission will have to cancel the August 30th evidentiary hearing and reschedule it to a future date after the complainant has answered the outstanding data requests. And I would recommend that we approve this order, version number 1. Commissioner Coleman.
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I'm in support of the order.
Commissioner Coltmire.
And I'm in support.
And Commissioner Hahn.
Also in support.
And all those in favor of approving that order, version number 1, please say aye.
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 That is approved by a vote of 5-0. Final therapy order today is file number EO-2018-0211. This is in the matter of the Union Electric Company, DBA Ameren, Missouri's 3rd filing to implement regulatory changes in furtherance of energy efficiency as allowed by MEA. On March 27th, Ameren, Missouri filed an application in file number EO-2023-0136 for approval of its proposed MEA Cycle 4 plan. The staff of the commission and the Office of Public Counsel filed a joint motion in opposition to the MEA Cycle 4 plan. And on August 3rd, Ameren, Missouri staff and the OPC filed a non-unanimous stipulation and agreement regarding the implementation of certain MEA programs through plan year 2024. Ameren Missouri has also filed tariff sheets designed to implement the plan year 2024 stipulation. The plan year 2024 stipulation will allow Ameren Missouri to extend its current MIA programs through plan year 2024, while its application for its MIA cycle 4 is being considered in file number EO 2023-0136. So this order approves the plan year 2024 stipulation and directs the signatories to comply with the terms of that stipulation. I would recommend that we approve that order for version number 1. Commissioner Coleman.
I support the order.
Commissioner Holzer.
I'm in support of the order.
Commissioner Cole.
And I'm in support.
Commissioner Hahn.
Also in support.
Great. All those in favor of supporting that order, version number 1, please say aye.
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 That is approved by a vote, 5-0. All right, next up, we got some other discussion. Looks like we have some legislative proposals. We got our legislative director, Doug Anderson. You want to come on up and give us an outline of the different legislative proposals that we will be seeking approval from the legislature this next session.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Somehow it's already near the end of August, and so session is quickly approaching. And so we have been asked by Budget and Planning to submit our official departmental requests for legislation for next year. They have asked a soft cap of 2 proposals, and just so happens we have 2. The first is our annual gas safety proposal. This just tries to align Missouri statutes with the federal penalties imposed for gas pipeline safety violations. We've run this for the better part of a decade at this point. It's something that we earn points with the feds for trying to get done, and there's a score sheet that's involved to make sure that we receive all of our funding for the program. The second one is a state purchasing exemption for the legal and financial advisors that are associated with securitization cases. This was actually an originally negotiated provision that is both best and standard practice for securitization stuff that just somehow didn't make it into the securitization legislation from 2021. Basically, the OA procurement process for hiring these kinds of people is too lengthy to fit in the 215 days that we have for securitization. I think that there was an included portion that kind of outlined that under the best of circumstances, their typical acquisition time is somewhere around 160 days plus. So I know that we've, been able to go around this with an exemption that's been granted by OA in the past, but this would just look to solidify it in statute. Happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
Cool. Yeah, no, I do know the gas safety is something like you said we proposed, but it's almost as if we continue showing effort to try to do this so that we don't lose additional grant funding from the feds that is there. And then with the new securitization, the other one, it's just as long as it takes to get it done, it just doesn't fit into the timeline, and that makes sense that we're trying to get that exemption put into more of a codified way, so we don't have to continue coming back and dealing with that. But I have no other questions. Commissioners, anyone have any questions or anything or comments for Doug? Anybody on the phone?
Thanks for the report, Doug.
No, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Hahn, do you have any?
I do. Thank you. First of all, Doug, thank you for coming to agenda and for presenting these to us so we can all kind of be on the same page to understand what the commission's proposals are moving forward this upcoming session. On the gas pipeline safety, as you mentioned, that's been a proposal the commission has tried to move for like a decade, and it hasn't moved. And from my understanding of the grant application process, we are allocated certain points or penalty points earned or deducted for that. From my understanding, that evaluation was occurring earlier this month, perhaps even last week, so we can actually determine how many points are earned or deducted for that piece of legislation. So I think it might be worth revisiting after that occurs to see if this is still something that the commission should continue pursuing, knowing that the the amount of traction or lack of traction, whatever you call it, in the General Assembly. I think it's something that we should be aware of and see what we can do if we still really do need to try to move this forward. On the second piece, procurement, just for clarity, procurements over 250,000, you said on average take about 160 days through the standard OA procurement process. The securitization timeline is 215 days. Just for reference, that's almost 3/4 of the amount of time for a securitization case would be taken straight up just with procurement. So that would be a significant barrier in us following the standard procurement process. So I just want to lay out the why behind this proposal as is, and I think you did a great job on that too. So thank you for that. Sometimes I know it's what's before us, and sometimes it's what's not before us and what's not presented. So I just want to highlight that, you know, the commission's assessment is something that we continuously monitor, the commission's budget, but in this case, there is no proposal here that we're asking to move forward with based upon changing the commission's assessment at this time. So I just want to, I know it's what's before us, but sometimes it's what's not before us that's really important to be cognizant of. I think that concludes my remarks. So thank you so much, Doug. I appreciate you coming today.
The only thing that I would add to that is that 160-day timeline, as you pointed out, that's the best case scenario. There are usually contemplated delays. It also doesn't include the timeline for actually generating the RFP as well and getting that approved. So it's actually 160 plus. So
yeah, that's a really good point. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Cool. No problem. Thank you very much, Doug. Appreciate the update. All right, moving on. The next thing we have is some tariff tracking. Judge DePel, file number JE. I don't see those very often. JE files. JE 2024-0012. Ameren's non-case related tariff.
And Mr. Chairman, one of the reasons you don't see these very often is because they are non-case related, but this has been placed on the agenda to make sure that everyone knows that the commission has had an opportunity to review the tariff and allow it to go into effect. No vote is necessary, but it's on the agenda for your information, the public's information. And, staff has reviewed it and found no problems with allowing it to go into effect.
And this modifies the percentage of the federal poverty level for income eligibility for Keeping Current program. And it also increases the Keeping Cool bill credits for participants and makes account credits available for rehousing participants.
Correct.
Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments for the judge on the tariff tracking? Commissioner Hahn?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I really appreciate the time today to discuss these two programs, rehousing and Keeping Current. Being new to these programs and not being involved in the rate case under which the programs were created or recently extended in the stipulation agreement of the prior rate case, it would be great to better understand the implications of these changes. For example, in the rehousing program, I would be really interested to know how many applicants receive bill credits currently and the average amount of the credit. This tariff filing does increase the amount of the credit up to $500. So it'd be good to have this amount to be in context to what is actually happening on average now to help ensure program integrity. Also, in the Keeping Current program, this tariff filing changes the federal poverty level or FPL from 150% to 250% for purposes of eligibility. It would be great to know how many customers currently qualify, how much of the 4.25 million allocated to the program has been spent so far, which is ratepayer half company dollars. How many customers the company projects would now qualify under this criteria, and what this increase in eligibility means for example, a single mom or a family of 4, etc. By having this type of information when these programs come up in the future for discussion, we can be cognizant of how the programs operate, who benefits, and how costs are allocated in future proceedings. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
No problem. Well, no vote is required, Judge, but I appreciate you bringing this forward for our attention and on agenda. And that is all the tariffs and new orders and various different discussion items. And so we can move right on into scheduling. Wednesday, August 30th, we have agenda at 10:15 a.m. And there's a USB meeting immediately following that agenda. And there's also an evidentiary hearing that day in file EC 2023-0395, which is Brett Felber versus Ameren, a WebEx hearing at 9 a.m. Thursday, September 7th, we have agenda at 10:15 a.m. Then Monday, September 11th through the 13th is the National Association of Water Companies Water Summit. Then Thursday, September 14th, we have agenda at 10:15. There's also an evidentiary hearing that day on Thursday, September 14th. WO 2024-0036. That is for a petition for an interim receiver and for an order directing the general counsel to petition the circuit court for an appointment of a receiver for Misty Waterworks. And that will be held in room 310 at the commission's headquarters at 1 p.m. And then on Thursday, September 21st, we have agenda at 10:15 a.m. And then Wednesday, September 27th, we have our agenda meeting at 10:15 a.m. And that concludes all of scheduling. Commissioners, are there any changes or anything you need for the scheduling? Well, if something does come up, then just let us know. But other than that, that will conclude all the business we have here for today's agenda meeting. And we stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr. Chairman.
Chairman.
We are adjourned.